You're listening to the Next Level Construction Management Podcast, celebrating unapologetic greatness, proudly promoting meritocracy, and daring to be different by design. Here's your host, Rob Crum, ready to take your construction management performance to the next level.
The process is the point. The process is the point. The process is the point. Welcome to the Next Level Construction Management Podcast, taking your construction management performance to the next level. And where we know, come on guys, say it with me, the process is the point. All right, quick question to start the show. Are you process-oriented or procedure-oriented? But Rob, what are you talking about? Those are the same thing. Not exactly. Much of the confusion actually does begin with the common interchanging of these words. Now, funny enough, as I was doing my show prep for this episode, I was searching the internet for an image portraying the difference between the two, and boom! The way I'm going to explain this is actually the opposite of what you are seeing. But this is really a non-issue because you can swap them from a vernacular standpoint, but the issues lie much deeper than that. And I'm going to explain that and much more next. Man, episode 2 here already. Hope everyone had a great week, great weekend. And let me first start by saying thank you. Thank you to everyone for your views, likes, subscriptions after the first episode. I genuinely appreciate all of the messages, phone calls, kind words, and feedback. Really means a lot to me, so thank you. Thank you. But, as always, before we get started, let me get the corporate disclosure out of the way. The opinions expressed on this podcast are mine and mine alone and do not represent those of any current or former employers. All right, guys, this week's topic, very, very important. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you giving me some of your valuable time. And as always, I will try to make it worthwhile. All right, let me pull the curtain back a little bit and say, I actually decided to split this episode into 3 separate episodes. I actually recorded this yesterday, had it all ready to put out, and then realized I forgot the disclaimer. And over the course of yesterday, as I was thinking about things, I went, I want to add that. I want to add that. Let me add that. And honestly, all of that ended up now is what's going to be episode 3, which I'll describe in a moment. But today's episode, I'm going to describe the difference between process and procedure-oriented task completion. Then I'll put one out later that's going to go into some technical differences between the words process and procedure. And like I said, the third episode, the next episode, is going to be a little bit more of a direct follow-up on this one, where I put some meat on the bone. I'm going to give you some examples of what I mean by process-completed tasks versus procedure-completed tasks. So I think it's going to be named something like, are you completing tasks better than a 5th grader? Seems pretty good title, and it'll make more sense as that one comes out. But again, for today, we're going to focus the difference between process and procedure-oriented task completion. And to do this, we're going to have to reverse engineer this. So fair warning, we're coming to this episode hot. So get your notepads, sharpen your pencils, hide your wife, hide your kids, and get ready because we are getting into it. All right, diving right in. Let's start by defining the difference between being process-oriented and procedure-oriented. Process-oriented individuals complete tasks with the purpose of meeting an objective. I have an objective I'm trying to meet, so I'm going to follow this process. The process will get me to the end objective. Easy enough, right? Procedure-oriented people complete a task with the purpose of giving the perception of completion. A process's purpose is the completion of the objective. The objective of a procedure is to give the perception of completion. So, processes are purpose-driven, and procedures are perception-driven. One gets you to the objective, one is the objective. Let me reiterate what I said in episode 1. Don't be in a hurry to say something is done. More on that later. But doing something is not the same as getting something done. Do not mistake activity for achievement. Procedures are at the activity level. Processes are at the achievement level. That is the huge difference. Producer Noah, sorry I had to get you up early here to get you here for this recording. If that didn't make sense, please let me know, because it is it's critical I explain this correctly. Let me try a clear way. Let me try a clear way to say this. Is that anything you do, it will have certain steps. Now, those initial steps, those minimum steps required to get that task done in any way, that is the procedure. Those are the administrative steps. The steps beyond that really get it done to an expert level, those are the process steps. The process is the how, the procedure is the why. Which actually reminds me of something just real quick. We've all had mentors, supervisors, managers, whatever. You know, people you look at in your company, maybe the same position, they've just been there longer, that you look to for advice, for guidance, you ask questions to. Just quick thought. I would be very leery of asking someone how to do something if they cannot explain the why you're doing it. If they cannot explain the why, I would be very cautious of asking them how. Anyways, not to get sidetracked on that. That's another topic for another day. Just wanted to throw that out there real quick while I was thinking of it. All right. And let me stop here. Good stopping point. I want to say something else. Now, the reason I'm doing this show is, of course, to share some knowledge I've gained over my 2 decades doing this. But it's more than that. I want to give you that moment of pause. Something that makes you stop and think and say, I've never actually thought of it that way. We live in, I'm calling it microwave management world, where everything is at your fingertips. And in this instant gratification society, it's lent itself, candidly, in my opinion, to a severe lack of critical thinking skills. So my first goal, aside from just rambling on and on about what I've learned, is to get you to stop and think. But then even more important, it's to have you take those thoughts, take that knowledge, and put them into action. So 2 action items here. 2 humble requests. First, after this episode, take some time and honestly reflect. And maybe you have to wait to episode 3 for this, to actually see the meat on the bones, see those examples, to help you start to see exactly what I'm talking about. But take some time to honestly reflect and determine what your current level of task completion is. Is it on a process level or procedural level? And then moving forward, just work to shift completing those tasks on that process level. I honestly have seen firsthand the difference in approaching these things each of the ways. And I can say with absolute certainty that if you utilize a process-based approach, you will be less successful than you otherwise could be. And the same is true for management. If the standard you are implementing and holding your staff accountable to ends at the procedural level, your company, division, staff team, whatever, excuse me, it will be significantly less successful than they otherwise could be. Now, I am not saying that every procedure is bad. I'm not saying that you don't need procedures. Of course you need procedures. As I just explained, they are those initial steps. But the big issue is when procedures, or more clearly stated, tasks completed on a procedural level become the main focus. Candidly, not all procedures actually need to get done. I'd say this, if you have 50 tasks that need to get done, and again, when I say this, understand that the vast majority of tasks are being completed or have the expectation of completion at a procedural level. Even companies that say, and I've heard this, oh, we do things to an extremely technical level here. No, they don't. And honestly, they believe they do, but they just don't. I saw this interview a while back, a couple months ago. Anthony Edwards was describing his pre-draft workout, the guard for the Timberwolves, his pre-draft workout with the Golden State Warriors. This was when the Warriors were coming off a title, but randomly had, I think, the number 2 or 3 pick in the draft. And after the workout, They told him, they were honest. They said, look, we think you're going to go number one, which he did. But candidly, if we could get you and we don't think you'll be there for us, we don't know if we'll take you because we don't think you work hard enough. And he left that and he shook his head and he went back and talked to his trainer. And he's like, what are they talking about? How much harder? They're looking at each other going, how much harder can we work? They honestly, they just were innocently ignorant to what that next level of workout was. And I think companies fall into that a lot as well. So having said that, I could probably say that of those 50 tasks, it wouldn't matter if 10 to 20 of them got done at all. And certainly not in the time frame being requested. Now, once you change your course and adopt a purpose-driven approach, you will quickly realize that the overall success of your projects would actually be greatly improved if only 30 to 40 of those tasks were completed. But they would be completed at the process level. The remaining tasks, they could either be done at the procedural level now, procedural or process level later, not done at all, or some mixture of all of those options. Now, the next important thing to keep in mind is to understand that any task, the level you're going to be able to complete that task is also going to be dictated by the most important resource we have on God's green earth, Producer Noah. You know what it is? You know where I'm going? Come on. Yes, time. Time is the ultimate equalizer and differentiator. Remember, as I said before, those two things, equalizer, differentiator, huh? Equal and opposite reaction, two sides of the coin. So we're talking about opportunity costs here, right? The fact that time is not fungible. You're either spending it doing this task or this task. Right now, I'm recording this podcast. It's 3:20 in the morning. I could either be sleeping or recording my podcast. That's it. There's no option C. So if you are spending the majority of your time occupied with a bunch of procedural tasks, a bunch of look at me, I did this tasks, that is not going to allow you enough time to complete the actual critical tasks to the correct degree to be successful. Now, let me give a little professional warning here because honestly, it's not fair and it's irresponsible of me to give you the benefits of this approach without the potential downside. People fear what they don't know and certainly what they don't understand. And a lot of companies and the leadership within them are candidly like Anthony Edwards at that pre-draft workout. They just don't understand this approach. And I can tell you after 2 decades in this industry, this approach, doing things at this level, is not the norm. So you will be misunderstood. You'll probably ruffle some feathers. I know I probably have along the way. But at the end of the day, what truly matters in terms of getting your job done successfully, you're going to check every single box. You might not check every box your boss wants you or your company wants you to do, and maybe not when they want you to do it. But remember, being process-oriented is an investment in your project's performance, not your job evaluation. You're not looking to get that pat on the back in the beginning or the middle of the project. You're not looking to get that, that attaboy throughout the entire project. Honestly, I'll take mine at the end. I'll take it at the end because here's what I know. At the end, the process will get me to a successfully completed project, meeting the end objective. My end objective, very clear, to build it right the first time, period. Not to build it the way my company wants or build it the way my boss wants. Hell, crazy it sounds, it's not even to build it per plans and specs. It is to follow the required processes to build it right the first time. These next level principles are concerned with getting it right, not being right. Now, I'll tell you this, the procedure-oriented approach, those people, they'll get the pats along the back the entire way, but their end product is going to fall apart because the tasks were not completed at a foundationally strong level. That's why I say procedure-oriented tasks are perception-based. They give the appearance of task completion, but in the reality, they're merely the minimal required to operate at a functional level, but not at an expert technical level. So any issues that arise beyond that minimal level, they're going to sabotage all that perceived success. I've worked alongside a lot of procedure-oriented people. They're getting all those attaboys throughout the project. I see it and I hear it around the office. Oh, they're doing a great job. The client loves them. You're getting back to them with all their questions, and you're responding back to them quickly, and blah, 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 blah. But you know what I've noticed about these people? They don't know what the hell they're building. They don't know where the risk is, and they have not, nor can they, identify the things that are going to bite them in the ass after you start, closing walls in. So what happens at that point in the job? Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. And that back third of the job, the back quarter of the job, the fourth quarter, winning time, there's no winning for those people. There's just no winning for the procedure people. And us process people, the people that have invested in the correct processes, who have completed tasks at a foundationally strong level, we don't have those issues on our project. Why not? Because we followed the process. Remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. The process is the point. Again, a lot of people within my career, I've heard, they've said things to me like this. I love these. Oh, you don't need to do that. You can cut that entire process out. You can streamline that thing way down. A couple of my favorites. There's a more efficient way to do that. Or the best. Let me show you a shortcut. All right. You can get the hell out of my office. Just leave. Because I know how your projects are going to go, and I know how mine go. I choose my way. I choose the process-oriented way. You don't cut corners. You don't take shortcuts. You do the work required to do the work. Again, for the umpteenth time. Yes, the process is the point. Don't be in a hurry to say something is done. Do you have these procedure-oriented people in your office? Do you ever notice how much of a hurry they're always in to tell people that they're done? Oh, I did that. They'll even say, oh, I processed that. Oh, yeah, I processed that RFI. Oh, did you? Oh, okay. Here, can I take a look at that? Mind? Here. Okay, let me grab that. I appreciate it. All right. Yep. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, can I give you a hand with this? You mind? Okay. Let me help you with that. All right. Appreciate it. All right. Well, that's about what that's worth. Because when you actually looked at it, it's all fucked up. So now what happens when that gets flushed out? Oh, now you have to go back and re-dig into it. Now you have to spend 2-3 times the time it took me to do it initially, that time that I could have been doing it more efficiently and taking shortcuts. Now you have to go back and spend 2-3 times that amount of time trying to go figure it back out, trying to it. When you could have just done it right the first time. But you were in such a hurry, such a damn hurry to tell the client, the boss, whoever, oh, I did that. I got that RFI done. Oh, you did that RFI though. Again, did you engage yourself in knowing what the hell question you were trying to ask? Did you set it up so you could get a correct, accurate, and timely response? Or did you just copy and paste what the subcontractor field sent you so you could say it was done under the guise of timely criticalness? I've actually been told by people that their goal is to just get it out of their court as quickly as possible. All right, you can get the hell out of my office too, because that is procedural. That person is literally looking at the task and either subconsciously or consciously saying to themselves, oh, how can I get this out of my office as quickly as possible? I mean, 2 questions come to mind with that. Number 1, does your client know that's how you approach things and that is your goal? Probably not. So then the follow-up is number 2, would you be embarrassed to tell them that is your goal? because I know I would. And I don't think they'd be very happy if they knew that was the level of expertise and attention to their project you were giving them. I cannot tell you how many RFIs I've looked at that have been submitted. And honestly, just looking at them from a procedural level, I would probably grade them at a C. But beyond that, when I actually look at the meat and potatoes of the RFI, I can tell you two things very quickly. Number one, that the design team is going to take the absolute maximum amount of time to review that is allowable per the contract, if not a little longer. And number two, not only is it going to come back unanswered after that entire duration is allowed, it is going to come back unanswered with more questions back to us so that then we can provide them that information, so then we can resubmit it for another 10, 15-day duration, whatever the contract allows, to get the actual response. Not only that, I can actually usually pinpoint the exact questions that are going to come back and tell you what information you should have put on there initially so that it could have actually got answered in the time frame you need. You know, what should have put a photo here, could have put that detail there, could have done a screenshot there, you know, cloud this, put an arrow here. But no one wants to do that. They just want to do it quickly to get that time clock going. So whatever time criticalness you thought you had, it went right out the window. Well, honestly, what are you going to do? When it comes back late and then you have to resubmit it comes back, you're going to go to your owner and say, "Oh, Mr. Owner, I need another 2 weeks in my schedule because I didn't get this critical RFI back." The owner might go, "Okay, well, let's look at that." And then you're going to show him that RFI, that initial one, and go, he's going to look at it and go, "Are you kidding me? You didn't send him anything they could answer. So this isn't on them. This is on you. So now you have to make that time up." So anyways, question would be, wouldn't it make a little more sense to take a little more time to get that RFI done on the front end instead of submitting a piece of just so you could say that it's in and you got that clock running? Talk about stepping over a 20 to pick up a nickel. All right, I really should stop here before I get too fired up. I could go on about this forever. All right, to conclude this episode, let's recap a couple of definitions. Process-oriented individuals complete tasks with the purpose of meeting an objective. Procedure-oriented individuals complete a task with the purpose of giving the perception of completion. A process's purpose is to meet the completion of an objective. The objective of a procedure is to give the perception of completion. Procedures are the how, processes are the why. So if you focus on procedures, you will fail. Your projects will fail. If you focus on processes, you and your projects will succeed. Period. Okay, thanks again, everyone, for your support. Please send any questions to comments.nextlevelmanagement@gmail.com. Also, find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. All the episodes are now up on YouTube and Rumble. Short clips and additional platforms coming soon. Small favor, if you could, please subscribe to the channel on both YouTube and Rumble. Help us make this show easier to find for everyone else moving forward. Trying to get to 100 followers by the end of February. Also, if you like the content, I would greatly be humbled. It is the most humbling thing you can do. If you could share the links to the videos with your friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, it's honestly, like I said, the greatest compliment I can receive is to know or see that you've forwarded the content on to people you know because you see value in it. Thanks. I will talk to everyone next week where I am going to talk about my lighting submittal. I've named her Sheila. I'm taking her on a date on Tuesday. Don't tell my wife. And then Renee, the appliance submittal. I'm going to take her date on Friday. I'm not kidding. Episode 3 is going to be bonkers. You're not going to want to miss it. Trust me. All right. Thanks, everyone. God bless America. And as always, Team GSD, be relentless.